And bam, welcome back to Nando Talk. On Tuesday at 4 p.m., the Miami Dolphins officially finalized one of the most talented rosters we've seen in the last 20 years. We've got a bunch of amazing players at each positions. For once, we had some tough cuts, a little bit of some surprises. Thankfully, we got some of those guys back on the practice squad. So I'll be breaking it down. We've officially filled out our 53-man roster and 8 of our 16 practice squad spots so far as of recording this. It's a lot to break down. So bear with me. I'll be putting some little timestamps throughout the video if you want to zoom along. I know I like to ramble, but hey, it's always some positive vibes. Thanks for tuning in to Nando Talk. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get to this 53-man roster. It should be a fun one. I'll be letting us know also what I got wrong, what I projected. But hey, quarterback, I thought we were going to keep 2 guys, but it turns out the Miami Dolphins kept all 3 quarterbacks. Tua Tagovailoa, our first-round pick in the 2020 class, Teddy Bridgewater, and Skylar Thompson, the young, well, I say young, he's 25 years old, but the gunslinger rookie, 7th-round pick out of Kansas State. This kid in the preseason showed something nice, something special. I thought it was enough to elevate him to quarterback 2, maybe cut Teddy Bridgewater and save us a roster space. I know we would have eaten $6.5 million, but it looked like Skylar Thompson was battling well. I do not think this guy was a QB1 material. Tua Tagovailoa is going to ball out. We got the Tua jersey. That's the guy, the man with the plan for the year 3 leap. So obviously he's not getting cut. That was ridiculous thinking if you thought that. Well, he's definitely not getting traded at this stage of the season. Guys, any talk of Lamar Jackson, shut that down. The season starts in a week. Tua's been grinding all off season, popping it off, balling. As much as Skylar Thompson is doing well, enough to elevate to quarterback 2, Tua Tagovailoa, I think, has done enough to cement himself as quarterback 1 of this team. Whether you think there was a quarterback competition or not, Tua Tagovailoa is that guy, the baller. And I'm a follower of the quarterback 1. Bam. A little bit of a rhyme, but it's whatever. So we're good to go with Tua Tagovailoa QB1. It seems to be like Teddy Bridgewater was QB2 if he's still on the team. I don't think there'd be any reason of having him if he's our quarterback 3. So Skylar Thompson is going to get the nice time to develop, which is fine. This is exactly what the kid needs. He's a 7th-round pick. He, by all means, does have the poise because he's 25 years old, but at the same time, he has to get used to NFL speed. The competition at Kansas State is not the same as the competition in the NFL. So if he can get some time to develop, he's got what looks to be like a nice arm. He has the nice ability, and he already has the good locker room presence, and he's a strong leader. So he can develop into a nice long-term backup or maybe even starter down the line. Hey, I'm good with that to rock. But it looks like the team trusts him more as a developmental guy and Tua as the straight backup to Tua Tagovailoa. How it breaks down later in the season, that'll be there. There's still even a chance that we trade Teddy Bridgewater. There's teams like the Cowboys who only have 1 quarterback on their roster. So who knows? But as of now, that's how I think it shakes down. QB1 Tua, Teddy QB2, whether he deserves it or not, and Skylar Thompson is QB3. But we're good to rock. Like Mike McDaniel said in his press conference, I've never heard of a team that would complain about having too many good quarterbacks. We got Big Mike McDaniel up at top because that is the man with the plan, and we're here to follow it. But hey, moving on, we've got the running backs. The running backs, I got a little bit right, a little bit wrong. We kept 4 running backs plus 1 fullback. Chase Edmonds and Raheem Mostert, obviously we were going to keep that. I knew that. I thought we were going to keep a power element in Sony Michel and Garrett Dokes. When we cut Garrett Dokes at first, I thought, okay, it looks like Sony's making the team. I mean, I'm a big Sony Michel fan. I went to American Heritage, so, anytime I can get a Heritage alumni on the Dolphins or in the NFL in general, I'm awesome to ride, and Sony's had a great career. But, hey, I thought the hometown hero who had won the first state championship for American Heritage would make a roster spot, especially after Dokes got cut. But it looks like we cut Sony as well. Congratulations on getting signed by the Chargers, man. Hope for the best for you in your next step. But you're no longer a Dolphin, man, so we'll keep talking about the actual Fins. Chase Edmonds, Raheem Mostert, Myles Gaskin, Savon Ahmed are our 4 running backs that we're going to keep, and our fullback, Alec Ingold. That makes 4 running backs and a fullback. There we go to rock. 5 guys who are going to be running, because while we don't have that power element after cutting Garrett Dokes and Sony Michel, it looks like Alec Ingold is going to be our short yardage guy, maybe on 4th down, maybe on the goal line. Alec Ingold is athletic enough that I trust him to hold that rock. We saw him do that nasty hurdle, and he's good to go. Kyle Juszczyk was able to run for Mike McDaniel last year in San Francisco. He was confident in him. Even when all the running backs were getting banged up, he still gave the rock to Kyle Juszczyk. I see him using something similar for Alec Ingold in the right situations. But in the other situations, we are fine and dandy because our running backs, Chase Edmonds has had a great preseason, great training camp. He's looked electric, fast, crisp, hitting the holes, got the nice vision. I've loved what I've seen from Chase. So much that even against the Eagles, he sat. They were good to go. They knew what they were going to see with him. Raheem Mostert, on the other hand, finally was ramping it up little by little. In the camp, he was showing off that 20-mile-per-hour speed, not in game situations, just in straight line. But against the Philadelphia Eagles in week 3 of the preseason, we finally let Raheem Mostert unleash. You saw him take off on those 20, 22-mile-per-hour runs. He even had 20, 21-yard runs. That's what I'm saying. This kid was just hitting the 20s. This guy is a speed demon, big yardage. He knows the Mike McDaniel scheme. With him and Chase Edmonds up top, I'm good to go, confident in this running game. But Myles Gaskin, he's talented in his right situations. I thought he wasn't going to make the team, but he seemed to be running hard towards the end of training camp. And in the preseason game against the Eagles, when he was just running, getting those big yards, I knew Myles Gaskin had solidified his team spot. This kid was ready to go, running hard. Myles Gaskin was okay the last couple of years as a running back 1, running back 2 for us. He's a 7th round pick in 2019, so he's developed a bit. You as a 7th rounder, I think he's performed beyond admirably, and he's still grinding. And now from 1 to 3, it's a bit of a drop for him, but I think if anything, it just suits him better. He doesn't have to have all the pressure of being a starter. He's going to be used in the correct situations. Mike McDaniel's going to maximize his talent, figure out where to use him. Same goes with Savon Ahmed. Guys, Myles Gaskin and Savon Ahmed were our running backs 1 and 2. Now they're bumped to 3 and 4. Still, we've got 4 lightning guys, speed, and Alec Ingold to pound the rock when needed. It's a strong running back room. I wouldn't say like the most diverse, but we do have a great crop of athletes. I still think this is more talented than the San Francisco room last year, and that room ran for 2,400 yards. We ran for 1,500 last year, which was ranked 30th. San Fran was top 10. I'm not saying we're going to jump all the way to top 10, but if we can get to top 15, top 16, add another 500 yards, break the 2,000 rushing yards, we'll take a lot of pressure off of the quarterback. Tua Tagovailoa will have time to set up the pass. The play action will work a lot better. The Mike McDaniel scheme will be able to flow, and we'll be good to go. So a lot depends on the running back and Alec Ingold blocking. But I think we've got a good group of guys to take us there, and Mike McDaniel's going to be good with it. So we'll move on to wide receiver, where I was a bit surprised. I thought we were going to hold on to 6. We held on to 5. Still one of the most talented receiving rooms in the AFC. Again, the disappointment is because of how talented this group was. We do get Tyreek Hill, who's obviously one of the best receivers in the NFL. Thank you, Chiefs. Bam. Jalen Waddle, 1st-round pick. The rookie last year was an absolute monster. Okay, 6th overall, breaking rookie reception records for the Dolphins and for the NFL when it comes to catches. This kid is an absolute beast. I'm so happy we have Jalen Waddle. The fact that we thought he was going to go and take the leap against cornerback 1s, and now he gets to absolutely shred cornerback 2s. It's still hard to wrap our head around. We still have yet to see Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle take the field together and tear up an actual NFL defense in an actual NFL game. But against week 1 against the Patriots, oh my, Tua's going to let it fly. We're going to absolutely tear the Patriots secondary up. I'm so sorry, because Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and it gets even deadlier. Cedric Wilson, Eric Ezukanma, and Trent Sherfield. Those guys get to rotate around for wide receiver 3 duties. In the right situations, Mike McDaniel gets to put them bam, bam, bam in the correct spots. And I'm so happy he gets to do it, man. Eric Ezukanma has been balling. Easy E, 4th-round pick in this year. Wow. Oh, wow. This kid. I mean, I'm joking around Randy Moss-esque sometimes, but it looks like whenever he wants to, he can get open. Whenever he wants to, this kid is crisp and dandy. I know that Randy Moss joke is going to get a little flack, but whatever, man, because Eric Easy E Ezukanma is a baller. 6'3", 230 out of Texas Tech. This kid is an absolute unit and very athletic. Runs like a 4.52. I'm glad to see him just slide into the NFL. I think he could even take wide receiver 3. He's slated at the wide receiver 5 spot for us, but it's a great position for him to be. It only just speaks to the talent of this group because Cedric Wilson as a wide receiver 3, again, when he was brought to be wide receiver 2 of this team, I was thrilled. I knew we were going to make a play for something else, but Cedric Wilson is talented in his own right, coming from Dallas. Man, oh man, that was obviously a given he was going to make the roster. Honestly, these 5 were the givens to make the roster, and I thought we were going to keep a 6th, but that's not how it shook out. Trent Sherfield was the first acquisition from the 49ers. He knows Wes Welker and Mike McDaniel obviously come from San Francisco, so he knows the system well. He's going to help teach these younger guys who are all new to it. And bam, Trent Sherfield in his own right has been balling training camp as well. Number 14 has been making play after play, and it was a given he was going to make it. He contributes to special teams as well, and it rounds out 5 receivers who are absolute beasts. We did have to cut tough guys like Braylon Sanders, who does make it to the practice squad later, so that's beautiful to see. Lynn Bowden Jr. with his versatility at like wide receiver, return man, a little bit of running back and QB and gadget plays. I thought he would make it as well. Unfortunately, he did not. It's a bit of a shame, but what can you do when you're this talented? Honestly, how can you even describe keeping so many guys? I thought we were going to keep 6, but 5 is fine. If Wes Welker and Mike McDaniel are comfortable with it, we're good to rock. Same situation with the running backs. Mike McDaniel has the running back eye. I'm good to go with him there. I'm good with Wes Welker's eye here as well. We do get Craycraft and Braylon Sanders later on the practice squad, so it's okay to go there. And they're still Dolphins, so we're good to go there. Tight end. And this is why we keep 5. It's a little weird. People were even questioning 4. I thought we were only going to keep 3, maybe 4. We keep 5. Maybe that's why we keep only 5 receivers, is because, in the event of an injury, I assume Mike Gesicki might slot more receiving time over a guy like Trent Sherfield, maybe if they don't think Eric Ezukan was ready. So in that case, they'd be left with only 4 tight ends, especially since Tanner Connor, who's been balling as an undrafted free agent. He seems to fit the mold of more of an H-back, very gritty guy that fits this McDaniel system. Coming back from an injury, so maybe he might not be ready. They do need the depth. It's an interesting tight end room. I love Gesicki. He's on the franchise tag. He's definitely got the talent. 6'6", 250-pound monsters don't grow on trees. I always say it. This kid out of Penn State, he hasn't put it all together, but he is very talented, and I want to see what he can do in this Mike McDaniel system with John Embry, maybe fully unlocking that tight end. If he can block, we're good to rock. If not, he might not always get the time needed on the field, but when he's on there, he is going to produce. Let's see what we can. Durham Smythe has also had a great training camp. He fits more a bit of the role, better blocker. He should start to eat a bit of Gesicki's time. If you own this in a fantasy situation, maybe might not be too pretty. Again, I do think Gesicki's going to get his work. Durham Smythe, though, however, is going to eat a little bit of this offense, and he's good to go. Talented player in his own right, and I'm excited to see what he can do, again, with John Embry maximizing his talent. Ethan Carter, I called that he was going to make it because he is the flexible guy who can also double down as a fullback if need be. If Alec Ingold doesn't last the season, if he gets banged up, hopefully that's not even a joke, because considering how important fullback is to the system. But Ethan Carter can fit that need if he has to. He's also an okay tight end, got some good hands, an athletic guy. So always want versatility on the team. Thank you, Ethan Carter, for making it, and we're good to go. Hunter Long, the kid out of Boston College, last year, 3rd-round pick, though. He didn't really shine too much last year. It was a bit questionable, but this year he seems to be producing better. He had some nice connections with Skylar Thompson later in the Philadelphia game. Again, he had a nice touchdown. He was getting open. He seems to be developing. And the same situation I said for the running backs and for the receivers. John Embry is talented enough that if he said, let's keep Hunter Long, let's go with Hunter Long. It's a guy who developed freaking George Kittle. John Embry helped maximize Jordan Cameron in freaking Cleveland. Okay. This is a guy who knows what to do. Okay. I'm down to trust John Embry's experience. We're good to go there. If he trusts Mike Gesicki, Hunter Long, we're good. If you trust Tanner Connor, he thinks it's worth the 5 tight ends. Who am I to judge? I'm just a fan. This is an NFL beast. So there we go. Offensive line is why I would have said maybe why are we keeping 5 tight ends? Because I said 9 offensive linemen, and I was even questioning if that's, enough. Considering how this offensive line doesn't seem to be too finalized in terms of starters. Obviously, we know Teron Armstead is going to start at left tackle. Connor Williams is going to start at some capacity, either guard or center. It seems to be right now he's starting at center. Michael Dieter would be coming off the bench. He's a center guard, but he's slotted as our backup center. Our starting offensive line, real quick, should look like Teron Armstead, Connor Williams, Robert Hunt. Teron Armstead. Oh yeah, I don't know how this is going to work actually. Yeah, it's going to be Teron Armstead, Connor Williams at guard, maybe Michael Dieter at center, Robert Hunt at guard, and Austin Jackson at tackle. Maybe Liam Eichenberg starts at guard, depending on how they feel with Connor snapping. I've got to check more of the depth chart there, guys. It's like freaking 5 a.m, so I'm sorry. I like to record late, little Nando talk specials, but whatever. It's a fun room, guys. More talented certainly than we've had in the past. Teron Armstead is a great veteran. Between him, Matt Applebaum, who developed some nice guys out of Boston College, and Frank Smith, our offensive coordinator, who's also who used to be an offensive line coach. Between those two good coaches and Teron Armstead, the veteran, I've said I'm down to see what they're gonna come up with. Whatever they shake is definitely gonna be more talented than we've seen in the last couple of years. I had a little bit of debate about what we're gonna do with Connor Williams again. Michael Dieter was on the bench, so we're gonna go with Connor Williams at center. So it'll be Teron Armstead at left tackle, Connor Williams at center, Robert Hunt at right guard, Austin Jackson at right tackle, and Robert Owens is gonna be our swing tackle. So probably Liam Eichenberg, man. Maybe Greg Little might kick inside, but we'll see how it goes over there. What I will say is that the people who start on offensive line week 1 will not be the same offensive line unit we'll see in week 17. Be it issues with Teron Armstead's health, who I hope can last the whole season. This offensive line, especially that left guard center position, is going to be shaking around a bit. Maybe even right tackle, depending on how injuries hold up. It's an interesting offensive line unit, but definitely has some talent in its own right. We're going to hope and trust. That's a very important unit for the Dolphins, obviously. But if it all shapes up together, we're getting beautiful and golden to go. So, bam, bam, bam. I trust the coaches. Whew. And that wraps up the offense. Switching over to defense. Defensive line. 5 defensive linemen. So in my last video, I had Trey Flowers as like a defensive lineman. Sue me. He's going as a linebacker. Whatever. Emmanuel Ogbah, our defensive line is going to shake out to be. It's a talented unit, guys. 5 defensive linemen for the Miami Dolphins. It's going to shake out to be Emmanuel Ogbah, Raekwon Davis, John Jenkins, Zach Sealer, Christian Wilkins. Obviously, we got a nice rotation there. A lot of pass rushing to come along, especially we'll talk later about Melvin Ingram and Jalen Phillips. But Raekwon Davis and Zach Sealer going up in the middle with Christian Wilkins are absolute monsters, big bodies who are very athletic. Zach Sealer, you see him, this man looks actually like Thor. He could actually be a Viking. It's whatever. Christian Wilkins if Xavier Howard is the heart of the defense, Christian Wilkins is the soul. The energy this man brings, he just fires people up so much so that I wouldn't be surprised if he's the captain, but the kid has developed so much, and I really hope we re-sign him. I hope we at least pick up his option. We picked up his option. I really hope we re-signed him, guys. He's very talented, coming out of Clemson, big body. It's morphin' time. Let's go, Mr. Wilkins. Emmanuel Ogbah, again, another very talented pass rusher. Between him, Melvin Ingram, and Jalen Phillips, they're going to be wrecking havoc for defenses. John Jenkins, we kept him. He's still a youngish guy, so I'm glad we kept him. I wanted to see Ben Still. He did end up on the practice squad, so I'm okay. Benito Jones, unfortunately, though, didn't make it. A nice veteran presence. Benito, you will be missed. Good times in Miami. Sorry about that, boss man. But all in all, a very, very, very talented defensive line. Good run stopping and pass rushing potential. I'm excited to see what they're getting to shape up around. Let's go. We just retained a bunch of guys from last year, so we're good to rock. I know they can work well together. Coming up to linebackers, though, we have nine linebackers. Okay, I thought 8 was a lot if you included, the Jalen Phillips and the Melvin Ingram as those pass rushing hybrid specialists, but Trey Flowers also gets included as a linebacker, so it's 9. I guess it's similarish to what I thought it was going to be, but we'll start off with those guys, the guys I just mentioned. Jalen Phillips is a pass rushing specialist, a demon, 6'5", absolute monster out of UM. I know a bunch of Miami fans are happy to have him. He was so close to so many sacks last year, and he still almost had double-digit sacks. This man is a monster. I think he's going to get 15 sacks, 16 sacks this year, especially like we've been saying with Melvin Ingram, Christian Wilkins, Sealer, Ogba, just all alleviating pressure. Phillips is going to ball out in year 2. It seemed to be fingertip length from so many sacks last year. I was watching him very closely as obviously a Dolphin fan, but also someone who owns him in Dynasty Fantasy Football. We have individual defensive players, and Jalen Phillips is an absolute monster. I hope he gets 15, 16 sacks. It'd be a nice, fun time for him. But hey, all that pressure is going to be helped because Melvin Ingram was an amazing veteran signing from the Chiefs. He's also played on the Steelers. Melvin is a baller. I'm glad he came on the Dolphins. When I see him at training camp, when I saw him at those open practices, the defensive lineman would go somewhere, the linebackers would go another, and Melvin Ingram would do his own thing, usually solo, which is why I was always placing him as his hybrid role, his own kind of deal. Jalen Phillips would also do one-on-ones with him. So would Andrew Van Ginkel sometimes. Cameron Good did too as a rookie who made the practice squad. Fortunately, he made the practice squad. Unfortunately, he did get cut from the Dolphins. But hey, at least he's still a Finn, so we're good to rock there. But back to the original point. Melvin Ingram was working one-on-ones, talking with coaches, working on his technique, doing his moves, and he was showing Jalen Phillips the stuff. I'm going to love what these two guys are going to be doing together. The chemistry was already apparent, and they're ready to grind. There we go. Obviously, we need Trey Flowers is going to make the team. He was just a veteran. He just added to the team. We obviously weren't going to just add him just to cut him. So that rocks a lot of the obvious guys as well as the Jerome Baker. Say what you want about Jerome Baker. I don't think he's overrated. I think he's just a guy who still has to figure out his role on this defense. He's not a true middle linebacker. He's more of like a pass rushing playmaker. Let him do his own thing off ball, but if he's going to patrol the middle, it's not him. Maybe he can develop more, but Jerome is still a fine player, someone I'm glad we have on the team. We just got to find a very good role for him so he can bounce back from the down year he had last year. When I say down, he had 92 tackles and 5.5 sacks. So Jerome Baker is still a baller. Glad you're on the team, boss man. Andrew Van Ginkel, he's a bit banged up. I say that banged up with I think it's appendicitis, so he's good to go there. I've had an appendectomy where I was sidelined for a month, but I'm a weakling. Okay, I'm not in the NFL. Andrew Van Ginkel, you should be back and good to go. But we kept 9 linebackers, so we'll have depth enough anyways. Sam Aguavon, playmaking guy. I'm glad he made it. The linebacker room was getting a little bit more shaped up after we lost Darius Hodge to the injury. Calvin Munson is also on IR. I thought Cameron Good was going to make it over Sam Aguavon, but alas, Aguavon's veteran status kept him on the team. He's a baller in his own right, was making plays. You saw that fumble 6 he had against the Buccaneers in the preseason game. Good to go there, man. So, hey, Sam Aguavon, congratulations for making the team again. You earned your spot, boss, man. Duke Riley, another guy who earned his spot. Nice veteran at LSU. I was teasing him on that first practice, on the open practice. I was like, oh, there's Duke Riley. I was next to my buddy Alan, season ticket man. So shout out Alan. I was like, hey, Alan, you played linebacker in high school, right? Well, you should go take maybe Duke Riley's spot right there. And then for the rest of practice and for the rest of training camp, honestly, Duke Riley lit it up, showing his athleticism. And hey, Duke, good on you. You shut me up real quick. I was just teasing, but you're a baller. Thank you for making a spot on this team. Hopefully you can help coach up our young linebackers like Cameron Good and Channing freaking Tyndall, because this kid is a 3rd-round pick. He was our first pick in this draft, and my God, freaking home run, in my opinion, in the future. He's been balling in the preseason, showing he's aggressive, showing off that athleticism. Anytime you see an athletic freak in college, you want to see it immediately translate to the NFL, because if not, it's, oh, snap, we drafted an athletic guy who's actually not that athletic when it comes to the NFL. No. Channing Tindall is a monster, okay? He had like 6 crazy tackles against the Eagles. He did have a crazy miss, which resulted in a long TD. But besides that, he was balling, okay? And he's been doing that all camp. I'll take an aggressive rookie. He's gonna learn. He's gonna get coached up, and he's gonna fine tune it. This is a guy who was a leader at Georgia, 50 career snaps, 6'3", 230-pound monster who's a 4.47, 42-inch vertical. Oh my days. Thank you, Channing Tindall, for showing that we can get a third-round linebacker who's going to ball out. He's an athletic monster, like I said. Hopefully, he can at least be a QB spy against guys like Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, but we can use that aggressiveness to keep developing. Maybe he can become our true middle linebacker. And if not, we draft someone else later on. But like I said, I want ballers. I want playmakers. We're good to go there. Landon Roberts is another vet who makes the team. Good to go. I like what I see there. He rounds out a great linebacking room, I think. Maybe not some true linebackers, maybe not some true linebacking positions that we might need, but a talented, rounded bunch of linebackers that can fill it up. Kind of like a linebacker by committee almost, guys. I'm okay with it. It's definitely the weakest part of our defense, but we've got some young playmakers there. I'm okay with that being the weakest part considering how strong our D-line is and how freaking good our secondary is. Okay. And I still think our secondary I still think our secondary is good. Okay. I still think our secondary is good. Say what you want about Byron Jones being on the reserve pup list. Okay. It's tough. We're going to miss him for the first 4 weeks. So does Buffalo with Tre'Davious White, though, and they're going to suck it up. So are we, because we still have freaking Xavier Howard. Okay. One of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. His jersey is usually up on the wall, but it's currently being washed. That's okay, X, because you are so clean when it comes to the regular season. You're a freaking monster. It was a blast throwing up the X because last year, every year, Xavier Howard absolutely balls out. Man coverage, zone coverage, against the run. He's a playmaker waiting to happen. Picks, fumbles, you name it. X is there to change the game. We're going to need it because besides him, without Byron Jones, we have Nick Needham, who's a very good slot corner, especially in man coverage. He's got to work on a little bit on other areas of his game, but in the slot, he's got it. Who might not got it on the outside? Is it looking like Noah Benogany or Deion Croston are going to start at outside corner for the beginning of the season? Noah Benogany is going to cause me pain if he's starting on the outside. We saw him get toasted and boasted every single time, a lot of times during this preseason. I hope he's keep developing. I do trust Sam Madison and Pat Surtain, who was the head coach of American Heritage for a bit. Developed guys like Pat Surtain Jr., his own son, obviously. Ty Campbell from the Jaguars, who's now in the Jaguars, who went to Georgia. It was the number 2 cornerback in the nation, while Pat Surtain was Jr. was the number 1. And then they had Marco Wilson also, who went to UF and is now in the Cardinals. He produced some baller corners. So if he trusts Noah Benogany, I'm okay with it. It's a little painful that we lost True Williams because I would have loved him to start outside and get more experience. Xavier Howard, True Williams, Nick Needham is not the prettiest corner group, but it's still a little pretty to know out there, and I would have been okay with it. Keon Crossan, thankfully, has shown nice signs in camp. I love that we kept Kadir Kohu. Maybe he can even surprise and play a little bit more. He's been balling in preseason, undrafted free agent, and we're good to go on that end. Maybe it softens the blow a little bit of True Williams, but we'll see how that ends up shaking out. Elijah Campbell, I didn't think he was going to make the team just simply because I wanted Kadir Kohu over him, but they both ended up making it, so we're good to go on that end. We kept 10 defensive backs. I thought we were going to keep 4 safeties, 6 corners, so it's about the same, just I was a little off. Clayton Fitzgerald, dang, this special team thug and safety depth piece still ends up on the team. Good to go on him. I thought it was going to be Verone McKinley. He ended up on the practice squad, so that's okay. But, hey, man, I really wanted to see Verone make the 53. Clayton Fitzgerald, though, hats off to you, my vet beast. You make it on once more. Dang. Brandon Jones, though, baller. Obviously was going to make it him and Javon Holland. I've been having phenomenal training camps. Bada beam, bada bam. These kids are ready to slam. I can't wait to see who's going to get a pick first, Brandon Jones or Javon Holland. We're good to go. Probably Holland because he's more sticky in coverage, but Brandon Jones is very aggressive, nice blitzing safety. You might get a very big turnover. Wakata, week 1. Eric Rowe, the vet out of New England, still stays on the team. He was supposed. Again, that could have been a guy I thought maybe Vernon McKinley would have stayed over. Alas, Eric Rowe's on the team. I'm glad we have such a deep safety room, and we're good to go there. Considering how interesting the cornerback room is, we might see a little bit more safeties playing, but it's interesting still overall. We get to finally the specialists, guys. These guys were obviously set in stone. Jason Sanders at kicker. He's going to hopefully bounce back a bit more. This was last year, supposed to be holding issues. So maybe a veteran like Thomas Morstead, who's an all-pro, absolute monster from his time in New Orleans. Hopefully he can right the ship and fix things up for him. Thomas Morstead, I didn't really see him practice much in preseason. He was like in Jordans walking around, but he doesn't really need it. This guy's a monster, a veteran presence. Should absolutely anchor punter for us and be good to go there. You briefly brought like Thomas, like some little competition, but I think they were more just camp like legs, so it's good to go over there. Blake Ferguson, our long snapper, an absolute beast. I love the 6th round pick, man. He seems to have carried the torch for John Denny as our new long snapper favorite. I don't know if other teams love long snappers like the Dolphins do, but my entire life we've loved the long snapper. So Blake Ferguson, maybe one day I'm gonna get that jersey. I almost got the orange jersey last year of Blake, the color rush. That would have been sick. We'll be keeping an eye out for a Blake jersey. Until then, though, keep up the long snapping. You're better than your brother in Buffalo, so you are the best long snapper in the NFL. Hats off to you, boss man. Rounds up a pretty decent special teams. I'd say pretty nice, honestly. If Jason Sanders can return to form, it should be a pretty solid unit, and we're good to rock there. All that we're left with is the practice squad. We've picked up 8 guys. We still have 8 guys left to pick up. I've touched upon a bit of them. River Craycraft and Braylon Sanders at receiver, we did manage to keep, so it's nice to see there. I would have loved to see us make a play for Lynn Bowden Jr. Wasn't in the cards, though, but at least we kept Braylon Sanders, who's had a phenomenal camp as an undrafted free agent, and River Craycraft was a wily veteran 5 years in, and he could be a nice slot veteran if we need to elevate him whenever we're good to go. So Quandre White is a running back who I'm very glad we managed to keep. When we cut him, I was very hoping we were going to place a claim for him, and we did make it onto the practice squad. Good to go there. So Quandre, again, Mike McDaniel, I trust that running back eye, so if he wants to keep Zaquandre, develop him. He's shown some flashes in the preseason, very athletic, nice cuts, good hands, electric. So good job, Zaquandre, for still making it as a Finn. Ben Still, a defensive player who I touched upon, who I wanted to see on the 53, but John Jenkins made it over him. John Jenkins is a fine player, so I'm glad Ben Still made it as a defensive lineman on the undrafted free agent. He makes it on the practice squad. Good to go there. Arnold Coleman is a depth piece. Thank God he's not going to be looking to be start anytime soon unless there's injuries. Practice squad, I'm fine with him to develop there. Good to go. Linebackers, Porter Gustin is more of a veteran, but he's good to go as well. Hey, if we can stash some depth pieces on the practice squad, I'm always down for it. Maybe you can teach Cameron Good, who I wanted to make the 53-man roster, this rookie out of California. Actually has been playing very well. When we drafted him, I told you guys, this is a guy who was graded higher than Andrew Van Ginkel, 6.8 versus 6.5 coming out of the draft. 24 years old out of California, 9.5 sacks his last year. He has 10th most sacks of all time in California. 12 and a half career passes defended. This kid even has freaking 2 pick sixes. He's clearly versatile. I thought that'd be enough to help him make the team. And he's had a decent training camp. Alas, not enough. But thankfully, we retained him as a Finn. If we had kept Cameron Good, we would have kept all 4 draft picks this year. Considering 2 of those were 7th round picks, a 3rd rounder and a 4th rounder, it would have been a long stretch. But at least we managed to make them all Finns. So hats off to you, to Cameron Good. Good job on making the team, huh? Verone McKinley, I already said he made the practice squad. This is a guy who played at Oregon, a little bit undersized at safety, but an undrafted free agent just due to that because he's got the ball skills, he's got the instincts, the hands, and he played with Javon Holland, so he's got good chemistry there. If we can develop him, if we can minimize his weaknesses, this is a player who can be on the Dolphins for a while. I really like Verone McKinley's upside. I'm glad we kept him. Braylon Sanders, Quandre White, Ben Still, Cameron Good, all very high upside guys. Craycraft and Porter Gustins, if we need to elevate them, we're good to go when needed to be. And Coleman's interesting if he can work out a bit as well. We still have 8 spots on the practice squad. We still have, I think, maybe a spot or two on the full 53-man roster. Don't quote me on that. But all in all, it's a pretty good team, guys. Like, all in all, the Miami Dolphins have accumulated the riches for once. For once, we had to make the tough cuts. There's a lot of guys who ended up on the practice squad who I thought could be the 53-man roster. There's a bunch of guys who ended up on other teams who I thought could still be Miami Dolphins. We, for once, had to make the tough cuts, the tough decisions to decide, hey, we got to cut loose because we have to keep veterans here because we already have too many young talent. Or we've got to try to stash this young talent on the practice squad. If it works, it's cool. If it doesn't, oh well, tough nuts. But the Dolphins are the team making the tough cuts now instead of the team that was, okay, we made a bit of a roster. Now let's hope that team X, Y, and Z cuts players A, B, and C so that we can pick them up and bolster our team because we don't have enough talent at receiver or running back, for example. No, 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 no. Now the Miami Dolphins are doing the cuts. If we do snipe some other players from other teams, it'll be interesting to see who we pick up. But as of now, Dolphins look to have some talent. We trimmed maybe not the fat, but we did trim a bit, and we did retain some good talent on the practice squad as well. Not much more you can ask for. A very well crafted roster by Grier, Mike McDaniel. Hats off to you guys. I trust the coaching staff at each individual position group to finally have a hands-on approach and say, hey, this is the guys we're going to go with. I trust them, and I trust the coaches as well. Thank you, Mike McDaniel, for building a good coaching staff, a good roster, and finally some hope in this Miami. We're good to go, guys. I'm excited to see what we're going to do for week one. I'll break down that week one Patriots game. As you guys know, obviously, I'm a season ticket holder, section 349. Hold it down. We'll be good to go there. Views from the 349, giving you some more inside look on the Miami Dolphins. I would love for you guys to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll be putting some links to some of the videos that are a little bit interesting, some edits, maybe some actual further breakdowns of training camp, whatever you want to see. It's a good time on Nando Talk. Always some positive vibes. Thanks for tuning in. Bit of a long video, but if you tuned in to the end, I appreciate it. Again, if you could like, comment, and subscribe, it'd go a long way. We just broke 300. Thank you all for the support so far, and we're good to go. Again, I record when I feel passionate and good to go. Couldn't sleep. It's 5:35 in the morning, but I'm posting this up right now. Hope you guys enjoy. Thanks for tuning in to Nando Talk. Bang.